So this is the hApp-e-tax main menu. It's made up of large colored buttons that are easy to tap. The app has the Income Tax Act and the VAT Act, which includes the VAT regulations. If we tap on Regulation 995, it pops up literally within split seconds. The app also has the Customs and Excise Act, which includes the customs and excise rules, as well as SARS guides and interpretation notes, which include SARS Comprehensive Guide to CGT, Income Tax Interpretation Notes, Income Tax Practice Notes, VAT Interpretation Notes. Let's take a quick look at the Income Tax Practice Notes. Again, a quick tap and you're in within split seconds. We also have all of SARS published rulings, which includes the binding class rulings, the binding general rulings, and the binding private rulings. Let's take a look at the binding private rulings. Say we want to do a search for section 24C. Literally within split seconds, all of the binding private rulings with section 24C pop up like that. In addition, the app has the Tax Administration Act, the STT Act, and all of the South African double taxation agreements, which includes the African double taxation agreements and the ex-Africa double taxation agreements. We also have the Estate Duty Act in pink, and finally the Transfer Duty Act. And finally we have a button called Tax Definitions, where you can find all the definitions contained in the South African tax legislation. Let's give it a shot. In Income Tax Act definitions, we'll search for the item trade, and every single definition in the Income Tax Act that has the word trade or a similar word will pop up, as you can see over here. Now let's take a look at the most complicated piece of legislation in South Africa, the Income Tax Act. You'll note that the entire act took less than 3 seconds to load. Before we get started with the legislation, let's first take a look at the buttons on the top of your screen. Next to the home screen button, there are two quick access buttons, a button for the Income Tax Act index and for the VAT Act index. If you're anywhere in the legislation and you need to access a new section in the Income Tax Act or VAT Act, you can use these quick access buttons to get there fast. On the top right hand side of your screen, you'll see the app search icon. The search function on the app was specifically designed to be highly intuitive. This means that when searching a word or phrase, you will not land up with 436,000 search results. Let's try this out. I want to know about the taxation of hotels. You will notice in the search results all definitions and sections relating to the search criteria. In addition, you will notice that if the word hotel appeared in other legislation, example over here in the VAT Act or the Transfer Duty Act, the search results will also provide its location. Furthermore, any other information contained in the app that deals with hotels is also included in the search results. For instance, Interpretation Note 105, which deals specifically with hotels, is included, as are 3 of the SARS binding private rulings. You will notice in the citation of the Income Tax Act certain amendment legislation highlighted in brown. These are the latest 2020 legislation updates that have been included in the legislation. Let us check out Section 8 of the legislation. Whenever a section is tapped, details of that section are provided, and there is an option to continue to that location or to remain where you are. We'll tap OK and proceed to Section 8. You will note that subsection A1 is in brown and was therefore included in the 2020 amendments, as we mentioned. You will also note that on the top right hand corner of each section or paragraph is a blue drop down menu. Let's check that out. We have the following options. We can add a note to this specific section. We can add this section to a briefcase, which we'll explain shortly. We can view the notes we've created. You see that 3 notes have been created for the section. And finally, there's a print option to print this particular section on a wireless printer. Let's go to My Briefcases by tapping the yellow My Briefcases button. My Briefcases are used to create briefcases for specific assignments, opinions, client projects, client meetings, etc. They are very easy to create. You simply tap the Add a New Briefcase button in yellow and give a name to your briefcase, and you're good to go. Once a briefcase is created, you can add sections and paragraphs of the tax legislation to your briefcase, or you can add relevant tax information, for example, SARS interpretation notes or a DTA to your briefcase. You can then use your briefcase to access this information directly. And that's the hApp-e-tax app in a nutshell. Fast, efficient, user-friendly, brilliant.